Joining us now is attorney Michael Baum, whose firm has extensive casework on these chemicals that we have been talking about. It seems to me, and to most people who are watching us and listening to the coverage that we've provided up to now, like the EPA may not have the best interests of us as citizens at heart. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. It's actually something that our expert, Dr. Portier, discussed in his testimony at our trials, and that is that the EPA is not following its guidelines for evaluating the carcinogenicity of chemicals that they are supposed to be counting and evaluating. For instance,
but I'm going to jump just for a moment to say that if a jury says it's a carcinogen, if court cases are finding it's a carcinogen, the EPA, as in protection agency, as in trying to protect people like me and you and our children, how can they Bigfoot these court decisions?
Well, there's, first off, as the Monsanto papers, the documents we've gotten out from under seal show, the EPA has been subject to regulatory capture. The relationship between the regulator, the EPA, and the regulated Monsanto is too close, and they have interaction that the documents show that the EPA is protecting Monsanto, not protecting the public. So they'll head off studies that are going to corroborate what the International Agency for Research on Cancer is going to show. They will not follow their guidelines that show that there's elevated tumors in mice that are corollaries to the malignant lymphomas in mice that are corollaries to what happens in humans. They ignore the statistically significant elevated rates of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in the epidemiology studies that repeatedly show elevated use causes an increased risk of carcinogenicity. You have emails. We have emails that show that they are corresponding with Monsanto to get this stuff done. There's the guy who wrote the CARC report, the carcinogenicity report, sends an email to Monsanto to ask them how should they count the malignant lymphoma tumors that are showing up in mice. How do they? That's not their job. Their job is to actually evaluate the science. We have all the way from the beginning. The original studies were subject to fraud, and then it's just one step after another shows the failure of the EPA to protect people, the public, and instead are protecting their regulated partners. So they're the people they're supposed to be reining in. So the EPA, from your description, seems to be in bed with the people that they are supposed to regulate. And I've also read that there's this revolving door concept that once you get in bed with the people who are supposed to be regulating you, then what is to stop you, right, from creating a relationship where in the future, if you need a job, you go to work for them because they're going to pay you a hell of a lot more than the government's paying you? Yeah, well, that's exactly what happened here. That Jess Rowland, was one of the guy that wrote that carcinogenicity report, is the one that asked for how you count that he should count the tumors that are showing up in the malignant lymphomas showing up in mice. There's an email that says he would be a good hire for us once he retires. Well, I don't even know what to say. Michael Baum, thank you, sir, for sharing. We've got to keep publishing it and keep doing trials. Yeah, thank you, sir, for bringing us up to date on this. Let's keep talking. This stuff is important to the American people. I'm Rick Sanchez. You found us on YouTube, and that's awesome. But you know what? I'm also live every night at 7 and 8 p.m. Eastern on DirecTV and Dish and cable and satellite, the RT app, and Pluto TV. I'll see you there.